We're going to go to the bottom of the barrel and talk about a significant part of internet remix and mashup culture, YouTube poops. Now, this is really hard to pinpoint, but what defines a YouTube poop? According to Wikipedia, it's a type of video mashup created by editing pre-existing sources for humorous, confusing, or shocking purposes and often contains mature content. YouTube poop videos are traditionally uploaded to the video sharing website YouTube, hence the name, but may be mirrored or uploaded on another video sharing websites like Newgrounds, VidMe, and or Dailymotion. I was going to put my definition of it, but I think Wikipedia nailed it down pat. However, I'd like to bring attention to their influence now that the peak of their popularity is long gone, or so the format that they were presented in. The very first YouTube poop, at least to my knowledge, was, to my surprise as well, not even a Hotel Mario clip. It was a Mario related clip, however, and it was done by Super Yoshi.
Wow! That see's hot on our tail! Koopa, that's... Wow! That se's hot on our tail!
Fun fact, YouTube poop didn't even start on YouTube. It was uploaded in 2004 on SheezyArt, which was like DeviantArt at the time, but was mostly known for the amount of furry content. Here's a quote from the creator of the first YouTube poop. This was made on December 22nd, 2004. I had recently installed Windows XP on my computer. I had Windows 98 from 2000 around that week, and noticed the program Windows Movie Maker. I didn't know what the hell it did, so I imported Recycled Koopa, and this was the result. Originally titled The Adventures of Super Mario Bros. 3 Remixed, I submitted it to SheezyArt and people loved it. A year later, YouTube actually formed and the ball started rolling for the YouTube poops that we know today. What we know as classics in the genre all stem from cutscenes from the Nintendo Philips CDI games, which feature Mario and Zelda. A lot of other commonly used clips are from the Mario shows and the Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon series, the bad one, Not Sad I Am, as well as some others. The most influential YouTube poopers that I can remember are Walrus Guy and Deeper Cut. And as you begin to really delve into these two YouTube poop makers, you start to see how different the styles of editing are, be it basic reversing of a clip or crazy masking effects. This Dadaist genre became a mainstay on YouTube that someone even made a YouTube poop news show that commented on the community itself.
Well, welcome to YouTube Poop News, everybody, where...
No pooping!
Holy shit! Whoa! Hey! You're supposed to be inanimate. Please kindly go back to your non-talking, moving state.
No, I had something to say.
Okay, fine, make your statement, but then go back to the desk.
Fair enough, and I'll tell you. I'm removing you two.
Now, for something as artistically anarchist as YouTube poops, I feel that the show didn't really fit the community at all, but that's how high the genre peaked on the website. The show actually addresses the creators and criticizes the community, and I think it's not that bad at all. I feel like the show and its creator itself deserve its own video, because I feel that this series may have influenced a lot of meta YouTubers and channels and videos. YouTube poops have opened the possibilities and creativeness of video editing to many, even me. My first foray into editing involved YouTube poops way back in the day. Unfortunately, I cannot find any of my old stuff due to me closing a bunch of my YouTube accounts from 10 years ago. So here's a clip of one I made like 2 years ago.
You just Jennifer Aniston. Is that the best you can do?
No!
Rip off. Rip off not here.
Despite how weird and niche YouTube poops are, they are a very important part of the history and culture of YouTube. The style of editing is still felt throughout with internet videos, such as montage parodies and vines. Ear rape and obnoxious editing have a lot of credit to give to YouTube poops. A lot of the humor has been passed down to non-niche places, unfortunately, making them tired and unpractical. Classic YouTube poops, I feel, haven't aged well at all, but if you put on the nostalgia glasses and don't take it too seriously, you'll be able to appreciate them just for how simple and fun they are. It also helps to watch them to remember when YouTube was at its peak in terms of community outreach and content.
Boggle, boggle, boggle. Boggle.
By defining YouTube poops definitely, you find yourself having to have your own lingo and terminology. YouTube poops have always had their own set of rules and techniques in a way. In almost every YouTube poop, we see a lot of these being used. As the genre went on, we started to see a shift in these techniques' use. I'm going to play this clip of Poopisms made by Big-Eyed Luigi. I was working on my own version of this, but I really don't think I can top this or necessarily capture the essence as well as this 45-second clip. So enjoy, and actually please go like and watch the original version. I'll link that in the description as well.
I'm here to tell you about the word octagon. Is an amazing shape that has 8 fantastic sides and 8 awesome angles. Sorry, Elmo, I can't stop at the stop sign right now. Here, let me show you. Oh, man. This is embarrassing. To bring an octagon. How, Elmo? How? Sis. This stop sign is an octagon.
Now, this doesn't exactly cover it all, but this is the core. Other Poopisms that you want to see are going to be on the YouTube Poop Wiki, which is an unorganized mess. This is off script. I hate. Doing research for this was awful because of that website. I didn't really want to use Know Your Meme either, because it's just like, God, why? But, God, that YouTube Poop Wiki needs to be organized in some way. You wouldn't believe it, but there's other subgenres of YouTube poops. First of these are YouTube poop music videos. The music videos are mostly comprised of using voice or sound samples to emulate a song they are covering for a humorous effect. Then there is YouTube poop music video soccer. YTPMV Soccer is a competitive version between 2 creators for the best video. Here are the rules. Number 1, you and your opponent decide on who goes first. Number 2, you decide with your opponent on the number of rounds that are going to be in the game. Number 3, after you post your YTPMV, then your opponent has to use the video source or the song to make the next YTPMV, or if your opponent posts their YTMPV, I did it again, YTPMV, then you either have to use the video source or the song source to make your next YTPMV. Oh my god. This process repeats. Normally, people put their rounds as responses to the previous round's video to tell people when the future round is supposed to be started. When you're on the last round, and so is your opponent, then you usually end it with a message at the end of your last round. YTPMV. God, I can never get that. Anagrams kill me. Many random YouTubers will vote on who is the winner by commenting on the last round videos. And here is when we're going to get into something really, really weird and kind of more recent. YouTube Poop Tennis, which is just... yeah. YouTube Poop Tennis is just a YouTube poop made out of YouTube poops by other YouTube poopers in a competition. Here are the rules. One person must make a YouTube poop. The other must make a YouTube poop of that YouTube poop with 3 or more edits. At least one of the edits must contain an outside source. A maximum of 3 scenes can be added, as more edits can be made, but they must use the original source. Continue this until one of the 2 stop or give up. And when I mean weird, there are rounds that go into the 50s. YTP Tennis manages to be even weirder than YouTube poops themselves, which is a big accomplishment. Honestly, someone can YouTube poop this video and then make a tennis of it. If someone can do that, please, that would be hilarious. Another small offshoot is YTP Movies, which is a YTP that usually exceeds 10 minutes or so. Usually YTPs that are even longer than 4 minutes are not met positively. An example of this is this hour-long YTP of a movie I found. I don't know the name offhand because I'm going off script again, but this, yeah, that's just, It's an hour long and there's like slight edits. It's awful. I only watched like 20 minutes of it. But a great example of YTP movies is Orpheus FTW's King of the Hill collab videos. They manage to be entertaining somehow, even though they go into the 20-minute mark, and the edits are fantastic. And I think that covers it on all the offshoots. If I missed anything, tell me.
Hey, Mario! Look what I made!
It's a stone, Luigi. You didn't make it.
It's a football! I chiseled it!
Well, what are you waiting for? Throw me a pass!
It's even official size!
The question I am about to present you and ask you may come off as a comedic gesture, but I assure you that this is something you should still take seriously. I'm not the only one to ask this question, but I'm going to narrow it down. Are YouTube poops Dadaist art? Now, I won't go into the semantics of what makes fine art considered fine art, because that's just merely left up to the ambiguous whole that is subjectivity. I will be merely basing this video off the arguments based on the criteria that makes Dadaist art. But before I can even get into toying with that idea, I'm going to have to teach most of you what Dada art and the movement is and was. Instead of giving you the Wikipedia definition, I'm going to give you my own definition that might make it simpler. The Dada art movement was preemptively a postmodern idea, where artists rejected logic and aestheticism of the Western world by expressing irrational and nonsense in artwork. Although this was mostly a reaction to World War I and II, as most postmodernism is at its core a reaction to anyway, it still has its grips in modern art as well. Later in the movement, it was apparent that Dada was more resembling surrealist art, but in reality, it was a prototype for postmodern art in general. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, what does this have to do with YouTube poops? Well, almost everything. If we look at the history of YouTube poops and the Dada art movement, they kind of have a similar pattern. I believe that YouTube poops are inherently a reaction to what is going on back then on YouTube with vloggers making their way to the top. The internet has always had its niche underground communities, and even though the reaction to them may not seem like the main motive, it certainly had a part, just like the Dada movement and the reaction to capitalism and the world wars. However, the craft of both YTPs and Dada are very similar, and I don't really have to explain this. Even though a YouTube poop can tell a story or have some kind of message, it usually doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, but we'll get into that later. YTPs are inherently anarchistic in nature just by being nonsensical and irrational. But let's look at it from this perspective as well. Hans Richter once said, Dada is not art, it is anti-art. Applying this logic to YouTube poops, you start to see a line form. A YouTube poop takes the original source and destroys any prior meaning it had by manipulating it in ways that may be unwelcomed. Dada art rejected the aesthetic nature of its art and its craft. YTPs don't really have a measure of quality. It's almost impossible to judge it by its craft entirely. Yeah, this video can have bad editing, but at the same time, that just might be an intentional style choice. YTPs just give a perfunctory nod to the craft of itself and revels in its chaotic matrix, which is also how we kinda look at music as well, especially in the lo-fi genre. There's a line that can be crossed between craft and artistic intent. Another argument for YTPs being Dadaist art is just how self-referential it can be. A lot of Dadaist art has its name in some of the pieces itself. For YouTube poops, a lot of YTPs have a distinct self-awareness to them, and often reference themselves. YouTube poops kind of indulge in their own culture as well. Now, when looking at the humor of YouTube poops, we can deconstruct that the absurd nature of the joke that is funny is not the joke itself. I think this also coincides with Dada and its artistic motive of denying logic forthright. Now let's look at what led after Dadaism and YouTube poops. Dadaism influenced surrealism, pop art, and punk rock. With YouTube poops, they inspired montage parodies and a lot of nonsensical ironic humor that we see in a lot of short edits like Vines. The natural evolution of both of these seem to mirror themselves in some way. However, let's look on the other side of the coin here. There's a few things that may contest this idea. If we were to base this argument solely off earlier YouTube poops and their lack of overall narrative, I'd say yes and not even continue with this video. However, if you watch the 2 videos before this in the series, you will know that this isn't the case. I've talked about the evolution of YTPs, but haven't delved too deep into it. With poopers like Orpheus FTW, Deeper Cut, and Durham Rocker Z coming onto the scene with somewhat narrative-driven YouTube poops, the dynamic of the genre changed. Let's look at Durham Rocker Z's King of the Hill YouTube poops. These YouTube poops are almost weird remixes of the original source material, as they just strictly go with the linear plot of the episode, just, you know, with YouTube poop added in. When adding this narrative aspect to it all, it doesn't really work with the idea of Dada art. Assigning purpose and any type of conciseness, especially by adding a narrative, to Dadaism doesn't make it Dadaism. Of course, I don't dictate what Dadaism is, and nobody can really dictate what YTPs are either. When talking about what defines fine art, I don't think the public perception would even consider this art, even today's modern sensibilities and its influence on remix culture. In fact, I think YouTube poops now fall in more within the meme spectrum. I'll be brushing my teeth hard after saying that one. Well, that's just both sides of the argument. In my personal opinion though, I really feel that YouTube poops are art in the Dadaist and Surrealist way, but I can understand why a lot of people might not see it that way. It seems that a lot of YouTube poopers themselves, especially ones that I've talked to, say they really don't consider it art. With a perspective like that, this is the kind of thing that makes it really hard to pinpoint. With that, I think this YouTube poop retrospective series is done for now. I will return to it with a part 4 eventually, but for now I feel like I need to focus on other types of content. So, thank you guys for watching, and make sure to watch all the other parts. Also, YouTube poops still have a very strong ongoing community. I'm sure we're going to see a revival in the works eventually. Let's just welcome it when it comes.